Hey, everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. Sorry for the delay if you arrived at 5 p.m., but that was my fault. I forgot my charger at the office where we tape redacted, and it's hilarious because I'm interviewing a charger and I forgot my charger. But yes, we're here now, so thanks for being here. Please take a second to share this and let everyone know. Gonna go live on Rockfin as well here. Okay, that should be good. And we're kind of gonna jump right in. If you don't know Justin Jackson, you should. Great NFL player, but also more importantly, what we'll be spending most of the time on is politically active, gives a shit, and doing a lot of impressive work on that front. So let's bring him in here. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Give me 1 sec. Sorry, I just literally started experiencing some audio issues. Just give me
That's
1 second.
That would fit perfectly with my day. So
I'm so bad with this tech stuff. Like I'm getting better, but it's I need a tech guy. You know.
That's all right. Yeah, we're gonna do a GoFundMe to get you a tech guy. But I don't know. I really only have myself to blame for this because I'm a half hour late. So. But anyway, while he is working on that, we can chit chat about other things. Please take a second to share this, guys, and thanks for doing that. We're also on Rockfin. If you don't follow me yet on Rockfin, that channel is rokfin.com/Lee Camp. And yeah, so I started a feed there too, but. It is my fault we're a half hour late. So, any luck, Justin?
All right, there we go.
You got me?
That's a little better. Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. The charger joke, that was good. That made me laugh. That made me laugh backstage.
I thought it was very ironic. Yeah, the way I see it though, you owe my family a big thank you because my great grandfather invented American football. So. Oh
really?
Yes, Walter Camp.
Great. Wow.
At Yale University, came up with the down system, the scoring system, basically separated it from rugby.
Wow, because that name sounds super familiar. Because as soon as you said it, it kind of triggered something. I feel like there's some type of award or something.
There probably is. Yeah.
Okay. Where is he? You said Yale. Was he in like on the East Coast or was he based or like?
Yeah, he was a coach as well at Yale, and
okay.
And I think either their stadium or something's named after him there.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that just name sounded really familiar. I didn't know. That's wild. Look at that. Small world, huh?
Well, he'd be ashamed of me because I'm certainly no football player. So
it's all good. You're doing much more important work than just playing sports.
So let's jump into the politics here, which you are kind of a shining star of using your platform for really important shit. And one of the most recent things was the push for forcing the vote for Medicare for all. How did that come about that you ended up swirling in the center of that?
Yeah, no, I know that became a whirlwind. But I had just seen the push on social media, obviously on Jimmy's show. And it had gained a lot of steam. And I felt like we were dejected as a left, as progressives, especially after Bernie dropped out. And then, for months just having to, talk shit about Joe Biden and keep it real, but also be like, I get, who Trump is, the threat he poses, just, walking that tightrope, which sucked the whole time.
Right.
But then I saw, Jimmy had this idea when I was like, wow, they actually, we're going to have progressives, a certain coalition. It's going to, they have real power here for the first time in a long time. Obviously Jimmy came up with the idea, not super unique idea, just an idea that no one was really talking about. He started talking about it. Then I saw, Sam Cedar get on board and Jank. And I know that they have, a lot of issues or had in the past. And I was like, wow, this might be a real opportunity for us as a left to come together. So I wanted to lend my voice to that.
You mean wait, they were opposed to it, you mean Sam Cedar?
Well, no, at first first they were for it.
Oh, okay.
When I kind of started talking about it on Twitter, they were for it at the time. They had already came out with videos. Sam Cedar came out with videos. Cenk had pretty much endorsed it as well, I think, on TYT. So I was like, holy, like this can actually be a thing, because obviously they have such a huge audience. And then obviously where it went from there, it changed, right? But at the time I was just really excited, and I was like, wow, they could, if progressives were, saying are going to do what they said they were going to do, and actually once they get power, start forcing some things, forcing some change. And I was like, this is a great opportunity. And then the whirlwind started from there.
Yeah, and then it became not on your part. You did a great job of kind of talking about what really mattered, but some of those other people, it ended up becoming all about the infighting and just yelling at Jimmy. But the core of it was really important. Let's hold these so-called left Congress people accountable for.
Hold on, Lee, sorry, give me one sec. My audio is cutting in and out, and of course, like my tech is just failing me once again. Give me 1 sec. Sorry.
Well, if it helps at all, your sound is coming through loud and clear, so at least we got that. But yes, I saw somebody in the comment thread either joined us late, or maybe I didn't do a great job of explaining it. But this is I'm talking to Justin Jackson, who is a running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. Great player, but also talking about really important shit online. So
sorry, I had to go with the old school headphones, but we'll make it work.
That's all right. It's a good look.
Sorry. Repeat that question. I had lost you a little bit there.
Yeah, I was just talking about how important the issue was. I mean, it continues to be, obviously, but at that moment there was an ability to actually hold these Congress people who claim to be left wing accountable, and really force them to stand up for these things they claim to care about. I mean, maybe it's kind of self-explanatory, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people need to hear it. Why is Medicare for all something that's really important to you?
I mean, for me, I have my own personal story with Medicare for all. And just with healthcare in general, my mom, when I was younger, passed away from breast cancer. Obviously, at the time, I was 3 or 4 years old, so I didn't know pretty much what was going on at all. But once I kind of got older and started getting into leftist politics and starting to understand like the ins and outs and nuances of our healthcare system, I went back and asked like my dad, and my siblings and my family, like at the time, what was our because we were a middle class family. My dad was an engineer, my mom was an accountant, my stepmom's a forensic scientist. But at the time, it was just my mom and my dad making just a middle class income. And the first, my dad grew up in inner city Detroit. My mom grew up inner city Chicago, right? So like they were like the first of our like my family lineage really to get out of poverty, right, and actually get into the middle class. Yeah. And so I was like wondering, like for someone like us, obviously there's a lot of people that are much worse well off who this happens to, but I wanted to gauge like what it was like for my family. And what I found out was it was really harrowing. It was that my mom was worried about continuing to get this treatment, and it was a very aggressive form of cancer, so it really wasn't that long of a fight. But obviously some cancer fights can be years and years and years. But I was wondering, like, I found out that she was worried about continuing to get care because of how much it was costing our family, and not wanting to, pretty much send our family back to being in poverty, right? When we just like first generation kind of just getting out of poverty. So that's really what just randomly your cells start attacking your body. And then if you live in this country, you might lose everything you've worked your whole life for. Yeah. And that's just my story. It's not you. I don't think that makes me unique. I think that makes me very common in this country, in the sense that everyone probably knows a story like that, has a story like that in their family or someone they know. And it's just unbelievable that we have to go through something like that, or even have to consider that when you're fighting, trying to stay alive, trying to be with your kids, with your husband. And it just goes to show that we need, this is something we need. It's not, in 5 or 10 years we can keep fighting for it. No, we need it now, because every single year there's 500,000 people who lose everything they've worked their entire life for because randomly they got sick off of something they probably couldn't even have avoided or couldn't have any control over.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm such a big activist for this. And I actually feel the urgency of it, because I know that every single day their stories just like mine. And we're just keep creating new stories like that, and new experiences and traumatic experiences that families have to go through, on top of having to deal with a loved one who's sick. And so that's why it's so important for me, and why I fight so hard for it, and why I was so excited about having progressives in Congress that agreed with me and felt my pain and probably had some similar issues because they come from working class, middle class backgrounds, and can go in there and fight for it with the urgency that's necessary. And that's what's so upsetting about, not forcing a vote on Medicare for all, not forcing a vote on minimum wage, not forcing anything, and just accepting the crumbs, a COBRA subsidy that only goes through September, and we all know is horror. They didn't do anything about deductibles, nothing about copays, and it's celebrated. No, that's bullshit to me. And so I'll call that out. And if you don't like it, well, go talk to a family who just lost everything because someone in their family got sick, and then come back and talk to me about that.
Yeah. It's number one, or number two. I think number one still a cause of bankruptcy in this country, and it's something like they did a recent study. Something like 70% of people diagnosed with cancer have lost their life savings within 4 years. Lost everything they had. And it's truly incredible. You mentioned the most recent America Rescue Plan, ARP, really hot name they got there.
It's like AARP.
What are your thoughts on ARP?
I mean, see, when I look at this bill, I relate it to how other countries have taken care, and enacted policies to combat this pandemic and the economic fallout for that. I don't compare it to the Republicans' bill, which is the problem in this country, and especially with the Democratic Party and left. They're like, oh, there's no corporate slush fund. Okay, great. That the bar is on the floor, right? You're supposed to be the party of the working class, and you're telling me this bill. My cousin just texted me. And she was mad. And she's getting into politics. She just got out of college. Was a basketball player at Florida State. And she said, matter of fact, I want to read it because to me it illuminates how regular people are feeling. And she does, she just got out of college. I think she was there on a scholarship. So she doesn't even have student debt. So not even speak to student debt, which a lot of people have, and is literally crushing their life. She said, in quotes, they gave us something we can live off of. Speak for yourself, because my rant just laughed at that weak ass stimulus. Now this is someone who's not super into politics, just got a job out of college, right? Doesn't even have student debt, right? Probably is still on her mom's health care. So it doesn't even have all the costs that actual normal people have, right?
Right.
And even for her, it's like, oh yeah, this $1,400 is gonna be gone in a second. You're telling me this is lifting people out of poverty? No, that's bullshit. The media is running cover for them. And this little $1,400, even if you get the tax credit, even if you have children, you get the tax credit. One, okay, great, you got extra money, but kids cost a lot of money per year, a lot of money, right? And nothing in this bill has any redistributive policies, nothing, because the only one that was redistributive that should have been in the bill, obviously, that progressive should have drew a line in the sand on, was a $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
Because you're actually increasing people's wage and it's coming from the businesses that they're working from. Instead, we get a bunch of COBRA, we get subsidies for healthcare, also coming out of taxpayer dollars. We get these tax credits. Instead of just giving people money, they're going to give people a tax credit for having kids, also coming out of taxpayer. You see what I'm saying? Nothing is redistributive about this. And not enough people are talking about that. There's not a lot of small business relief. I mean, just the whole bill is crumbs.
Well, and the moratorium on eviction, all of that's going to come due when they finally lift it. It's like people are going to owe 12 months or 10 months of rent. It's not like they're going to have it. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's the end of this month. The Cobra subsidies, like I said, just through September. Okay. Are y'all going to re-up that? Like what's going on with that? Because all of a sudden people aren't going to have $800, $900 to pay Cobra in September. Also, unemployment ends in September, right? Like everything is ending in 5 or 6 months, and they're acting like this is some, like Bernie's out there saying it's the biggest progressive legislation in our lifetimes. Bernie, spare me the BS, Bernie. Spare me the party talk. Like we're not dumb, okay? Like we talk to real people, and we know that this is. Yes, people are happy they're getting something, but I mean, if you're starving, are you happy with a breadcrumb? Yeah, because you're starving, but that doesn't mean it's enough. That doesn't mean it's sufficient, and that doesn't mean it should be celebrated.
Right. You get people in dire situations, and they'll accept a lot of things as better than it was, but that doesn't mean that it's a functioning system or sustainable or makes sense for average people. No, it's completely fucked in so many ways. Something else that fits with this, your understandable and my criticism with these politicians that claim to be left wing but are basically just Republican light is you've been outspoken for third parties and for movement for a people's party. What got you into that?
I mean, yeah, just during the Force the Vote campaign, MPP was pretty big with Force the Vote, and I got brought on as an advisory council member along with a lot of other people like Cornel West, Jimmy Dore. I mean, it was a large group of people that
Susan's
were very influential.
Yeah.
So, I think they were big. They were big in that movement. Also, just the need. I mean, we see that we need a third party. I mean, we've tried this experiment. People have been trying to reform the Democratic Party for decades, right? And I'm sitting here, I'm 24, but I'm imagining people that are 50, 60 years old have been in this fight for, like I said, decades. And you get to the point where it feels like we're regressing, right? Like Joe Biden, there's an argument that he's more conservative than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was saying that she'd lower the Medicare age to 50. Now Joe Biden's saying 60. Like after all, the protests, everything, we've, this huge movement for Medicare for all, and we're literally moving backwards, and so that's why I just don't think it's sustainable to stay within this party. At least put everything we can in the China Changes Party. I think we need to put some effort into some outside parties as well. Now I know MPP has had some issues brought forth, and I acknowledge that. And I actually, I talked about this on my show the other day, but I want to bring MPP together with the people, the Black Voter Coalition or the people that were criticizing, because I think it's really important, one, to acknowledge how difficult it is to start a third party. Very difficult, structurally, just, getting over all the hurdles and everything. People, time wise, just everything. And so I don't think we should immediately just throw things away. I think we should talk, right? I think we should have a conversation and try and come to an understanding so that we can advance this third party. That's what I want to do, right? And I want to actually have a conversation. So that'll probably be coming up on my show next week. I'm gonna try and organize that, but we'll see. But I'm big because I grew up. Really, when I went to college, I started to understand because I had teammates from Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, California, everywhere, right? East Coast, New York. And so I started to understand if you have conversations with people, you can actually get a lot done. You can advance your goals. And so I want to be a liaison to having some of these conversations, because I understand the sentiments from all sides and I want to really hash it out. I don't just want to throw, insults and everything at each other and then never talk. And then they're trying to, bring down the party. The party's trying to advance, like all these things, I just don't like all that hostility that's there. And I want to hash that out. Yep. So We'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see how that works out.
I think that's a great idea, and hopefully you can help achieve that. I do think that at the same time, people should acknowledge anybody who wants to start a third party or start any kind of organization that's going to have powerful impact, or they hope it will. They should understand that there's going to be powerful forces trying to stop them, and there's going to be a lot of money if they get powerful enough. If they get successful enough, there's going to be a lot of money dumped into maligning them and trashing them and trying to make sure that they can't actually pull the Democrats to the left at the very least.
Look at HR1. I mean, there's a lot of good in HR1, but you see the poison pills that they put in HR1 to ensure that no third party can even get any funding or get any standing state by state or on a national level. So, 100%. And so you also have to watch out for that and understand that those forces are going to be there.
Yeah, HR1, they increased the amount that a third party needed to qualify for public funding, 6-to-1 public funding. They needed to get 500% as much funding to start with. So in 20 states, which makes it incredibly difficult, basically makes it almost impossible for what we've seen third parties be able to achieve so far. It really is that poison pill that's designed to actually harm our democracy rather than actually foster it.
Under the guise of improving it wholesale, right?
Absolutely.
That's how it usually goes.
How have what's it been like, being in the spotlight for sports and then having such a strong political view? I'm sure you must get attacked endlessly. As do people in a lot of different fields, like Susan Sarandon, who's also with MPP, gets attacked as, just act. Don't talk about politics. I'm sure you get the just play ball, don't talk about politics, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got that. I think it also is tough because, I do a lot of research. And I kind of take pride in knowing a lot of the facts. So it's kind of hard for people to just completely discredit me, but you're always going to get that. It's laughable. At this point, it's such an old, tried and tested trope that everyone kind of just, I just ignore it, I just ignore it. And for me, just as far as like within the sport, obviously everyone knows what happened to Kaepernick, right? And everyone knows how, what he was doing and the goals of his advocacy and how it was completely politicized, completely taken 100% just out of context, just made up shit that he wasn't even saying. Like, we all know what happened. But thankfully, stuff like what he did, opens doors for, things like what I want to do. Right. And that public pressure and spotlight is so much more on, not only the league, but just team by team as well, just the owners. And because I have this platform, it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to try and silence me. In fact, I've been speaking at a lot of the Charger community events recently, just about some of the initiatives that I've been, kind of creating, fostering, and trying to push forward in advance. And I'll be talking, I think, next week as well, with Axios. Actually, I think I'm going to have an interview with Axios.
Nice.
Just about activism in the sport. So I'm excited about that, and I won't shut up. I'm going to keep talking because I have stuff to say, and I think it's important, like you said earlier, to use my platform to try and advance those goals. And for me, really, what's so quintessential to me, especially about football players in particular, but really athletes in general, is that a lot of the communities that we come from stand to benefit the most from the policies that I am trying to advance, right? And so I'm hoping to use this platform and my message to actually get more people to understand that, and more specifically, more people within the sport to understand that as well, which is why I love having these conversations with my teammates and like I said earlier, just trying to use this platform.
Last topic, I guess. I think I saw that you're also on the Assange live stream event this Saturday.
Saturday, right? Yep.
Yeah. What makes Assange an important topic to you?
I mean, he's literally being tortured to death because he did real journalism. Like he's the actual real journalist. Um, he's the type of journalist that we look up to because he's not this partisan hack, right? He reveals, what he does is he reveals things that are beyond the scope of like Republican or Democrat. No. We're talking about the U.S. empire, and particularly the things that get him in trouble or get him tortured is exposing war crimes. And for me, being anti-war is, just so important for me, because and really when the BLM was, I remember I tweeted this, but when BLM was, the protests were going on in the summer, there was actually National Guard troops in LA on the streets. And I tweeted, like, because obviously no one fucking likes that, right? Like no one likes seeing a guy with a gun on the corner, where you live, having to walk around 2-3 different blocks because they blocked off certain sites, like just all that. And I said, can we normalize, like, we know everyone here hates it when the National Guard, is on a corner with a AR-15 or shotgun. Can we normalize, hating that? And not wanting that for other people in other countries, right? And so for me, it's just being a humanist. It's not just being an American, right? Like I care about people around the world. I care about no matter, just like I don't know, like there's 350 million people in this country or whatever. I don't know 99.8% of them, but just because they're in a different location on the globe, on this rock that we live on, doesn't mean that they should be subjected to being terrorized by the U.S. military. So that's why I'm such a huge why being anti-war is so big for me, and obviously that's the main reason why Julian Assange is being persecuted, and there's not going to be any mainstream media coverage about it. So we have to do everything we can as the independent left media and activists to make sure to bring attention and light to that, to a situation to try and get that rectified.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing he ever published has been proven right. False. Much unlike our mainstream media. But people can check out your or my Twitter for info on that live stream this Saturday. I know I just retweeted something about it. But I really do appreciate you joining me. You have a show, right?
Yeah. Appreciate you having me on, Lee. Big fan of the show.
Thanks.
For a while. I've been watching your show, man, for like probably 3 or 4 years. So
cool.
It's been a long time. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've got a new YouTube show. It's called The Takeover. Just look up The Takeover Justin Jackson on YouTube. Should pop up. And yeah, I cover stuff kind of like we just been talking about today. I do live streams. I do video segments. So yeah, just come check me out at The Takeover on YouTube.
Nice. Thanks again, man. Never shut up.
Yeah, never. Can't do that. Appreciate you, man.
Talk soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. That was Justin Jackson. Thanks you guys so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Sorry for the delay in the start time. For those of you who donated, all the Super Chat donations will be going to those in need. And if you are someone who could use a little help, you can obviously it's not emergency help. In that case, you should call 911, I think, or something. But if you're looking for a little bit of help, you can email commonsensor@protonmail.com. And we're doing our best to get a little bit to everybody who needs help, kind of like our own community mutual aid between me and you and us. So, yeah, all the donations will be going to that. And we'll give you more details on our weekend live streams. But I really do appreciate you being here. And that's Justin Jackson, great guy, doing great stuff, using his platform as a pro athlete for good, not for evil. And, I love to see that because I always wondered, because I grew up like the sport I was most involved in growing up was tennis, and, looked up to these tennis players. And when I started becoming more informed on like world issues and shit, I started to wonder, like, God, what if just Roger Federer or someone, or Michael Jordan or some shit were to just do one press conference where they said, yeah, I can't wear Nike anymore because they're paying their workers in Bangladesh like 5 cents. or they're paying their workers in China, 5 cents a shoe or 5 cents an hour or whatever it was at that time. And I always wondered, like, the impact would be massive. Like, Nike would be flailingly fucked. I mean, it would just be crazy, the impact. Now, of course, that generally doesn't happen because there's, 10, 20, $100 million at stake. But I always wondered if, like, athletes, stood up for some of these things. And Justin Jackson's standing up for a lot of them. So it's pretty fucking awesome of him. Anyway, that's the show. If you're listening to this on the podcast, by the way, this is also on podcast. It's called Moment of Clarity. You can look it up for free anywhere. Also, other podcasts I got going are Government Secrets with Graham Elwood and Common Censored with Eleanor Goldfield. Check out all of those and keep fighting.